A big return for the women's division appears to be locked in, so we'll see what that's about. We'll also check out what's new for Alexa Bliss, Karrion Kross, and more. Starting things off with a brief update for the Alexa Bliss situation. We recently went over the new details about Alexa's entire return plan and storylines being completely scrapped at the last second for unknown issues. It was speculated that it was contract related, and now in a new report, it confirmed that's exactly what's going on here. The latest report from PW Insider claims that as the January 13th date was quickly approaching and the return was set in stone, Alexa's camp of representatives allegedly were pushing WWE for a new contract for Alexa to sign ahead for the return itself. This is what caused the issues because WWE wanted Alexa Bliss to return under the terms and conditions of her old contract because it still had time remaining on it. So it seems like they wanted to work on the new contract once the old one was completely out. It looks like Alexa's team didn't really like the idea of returning under the old contract and insisted on inking a completely new deal prior to her return. But WWE and TKO were not budging at all. Conversations between both sides stopped making progress, and the entire situation turned into a stalemate. That's when the circumstances around the situation forced WWE's hands to fully cancel Alexa's return plans and remove her from all future plans as well. So it looks like the main issue here absolutely is contract disputes. Alexa's side wanted a new deal. WWE allegedly was not too fond of that idea, and it caused this issue. It looks like the only way Alexa Bliss will be seen on WWE television again is if these negotiations continue, and if both sides could meet a little bit in the middle. If that doesn't happen and they both stay at where they're at right now, it's hard to envision the return happening in that case. It's only going to happen if these contract negotiations start making serious progress. So that's where the Alexa Bliss situation is at right now. If a new contract is not agreed on, it seems like Alexa's future is a complete mystery. Hopefully a new deal is quietly reached because the scenes in the return could still happen later this year. The initial report did say that WWE would now like to keep the Wyatts and Alexa separated. So if a new deal with Alexa is ever reached, it looks like she would remain on the Raw brand since the Wyatts just left to Smackdown. Contract disputes are a sticky situation that do not really have a time frame on it. It could be resolved next week. It could be resolved in 6 months. It could be never resolved. It's a stressful situation for the talent and for the fans. But all we can do is stand by and hope everything gets settled there. Speaking of big returns in the women's division, there is one return that's hanging out there that does have a lot of positive news surrounding it, and that's with Nikki Bella's return. The Bella twins had great careers in WWE. They got inducted into the Hall of Fame just a few years back, but tension really rose between WWE and the Bellas right around the 30th anniversary of Raw. The Bellas were advertised to make an appearance on that special edition of Raw, but their appearance was canceled at the last minute. The Bellas went on Instagram Live that night and started ranting about some of the issues with WWE, the women's division, Mercedes Moné, and more. And that's when it felt like the relationship between both sides started to get a bit rocky. Then shortly after that, they went into a little legal battle over the Bellas' last name, before ultimately deciding to rebrand themselves as the Garcia twins. Then there were rumblings about Nikki Bella even potentially heading over to AEW, and Brie was already constantly on camera and backstage at AEW due to her supporting Bryan Danielson. So it started to look like the Bella run in AEW was possible, but that buzz eventually settled down. And the most recent biggest shocking moment was seeing Nikki Bella backstage at the Raw Netflix premiere. Out of all the big names that were backstage at the event, Nikki Bella was the most shocking to see because of all the recent tension that was there between the Bellas and WWE. But Nikki jumped on her podcast just days later to say that everything with WWE was squashed and she was glad to still be a part of the family. Now fast forward a few weeks after that, and it brings us to current day with this new report from WrestleVotes. They claim that WWE and Nikki Bella have been having serious discussions about having her return to in-ring action. The report also claims that it's not really a case of if, but more like when. So it's sounding like Nikki Bella and WWE agreed on something there, and we'll most definitely be seeing Nikki Bella sometime soon. The community was a bit mixed on this report, especially since this Nikki Bella news came out right after the same time all the Alexa news was coming out. So fans were a bit confused on why Alexa is going through such a hard time for a new deal, yet a new one with Nikki already seems to be settled and done almost instantly. But either way, a return from Nikki Bella should be very uplifting for the women's division. The men's division has all these big part-time stars and celebrity crossovers that happen from time to time, but the women's division doesn't really have that special attraction, big part-time star that comes from time to time and works with younger generations. WWE did have that very shortly in 2023 with Trish Stratus's run in the company. Something like that more often from these legends of women's division would be great to see. So no one's expecting a full-time run from Nikki Bella at this stage in her career, especially with prior commitments outside of the ring. But if she can do anything similar to Trish's 2023 run, just something limited and even focus around one opponent, it seems like a great role for her to have and could be beneficial for everyone. And with Royal Rumble right around the corner and all this positive news about talks with Nikki and WWE, a lot of fans are looking at the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble to potentially kick off this return run for Nikki. Nikki had a brief one-night return in 2022, but she has not been a part of an actual fully fleshed out program in WWE since all the way back in 2018 with Ronda Rousey. So technically, it could be Nikki's first solid run with WWE in 7 years. So be on the lookout for her. Now let's get into something that's quietly happening in the background right now because it'll no doubt blossom into something bigger, so you need to know about it. Back during the days of The Fiend, fans noticed that everyone The Fiend had gotten in the ring with, they all ended up having these drastic shifts to their personas. WWE eventually fully leaned into this realization from the fans and fully showed it, especially with Alexa Bliss. She interacted with The Fiend, and look at that spiral it took her down. But now it looks like the Fiend effect has been passed down to Karrion Kross. Everyone that's been in the ring with Karrion Kross since 2022 all had big shifts with their personas as well. Kross's list of individuals he's changed includes Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Carmelo Hayes, Roman Reigns, The Miz, The New Day, and many more. All superstars that have suffered some sort of character change since first interacting with Kross. And on the January 20th edition of Raw, Kross can be seen backstage closely watching Seth Rollins. Kross would post the image onto her social media platform and caption it, quote, "Messiah, Messiah, where art thou?" End quote. So from that caption and the action, we can see exactly what Kross is after. He wants to now change Seth Rollins' persona and shift him back to his 2020 heel self of being the Messiah. Kross knows that the Messiah persona is still in there, and he wants to interact with Seth Rollins so he can use that Fiend effect, so to speak, and bring it out of Seth. And it honestly looks like that has a strong chance of happening because Seth Rollins is being heavily influenced and peer pressured a lot right now. On the January 20th edition of Raw, you even had Drew McIntyre straight up yelling in Seth's face about how they both should be on the same side because of their similar views on people like CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Now you got Karrion Kross trying to get the Messiah back out of Rollins as well. So all these people are trying to get into Seth's head to snap and turn heel. So expect to see Karrion Kross get even closer to Seth Rollins in the coming weeks. And we'll have to see if Seth is strong-willed or if he will give in to all this peer pressure surrounding him right now. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.